What are we discussing on today's Locked on Diamondbacks podcast? D-backs just finished their toughest stretch in their schedule. What are some of the lessons learned? And in their next series against the Colorado Rockies, should we expect a sweep from the Arizona Diamondbacks?
You are Locked on Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. On today's Locked on Diamondbacks podcast, we're going to be talking about the D-backs schedule, the one that they just finished, their upcoming schedule for the rest of May, preview the D-backs versus Rockies series, and then, of course, it's Mailbag Friday, so answering your guys' questions on today's Locked on Diamondbacks podcast. But first, I want to say thank you for making Locked on Diamondbacks your first listen every day. I would not be able to do this podcast without you, my loyal listeners, sharing, subscribing, reviewing, doing all that so I could do this podcast for you. Thank you. It's free. It's available on all platforms, so please continue to tell your friends. And one of those platforms is YouTube. We try to go live after the games Sunday through Thursday. So if you want to tune in live, drop a comment in the YouTube section because I'll read it as the show goes live. It's an interactive experience. Please hit subscribe to Locked on Diamondbacks on YouTube. Hit the little bell so you get notified when I go live, or follow me on social media because I tweet out before I go live at CareerThomas24 on Twitter, or look up Locked on Diamondbacks, both Twitter and Instagram for the podcast handle. But now let's get into the show. All right, back here on the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast. And let's talk about the D-backs schedule a little bit because they just finished one of the toughest stretches that they're going to face all season. 16 games, all against teams that, if the season ended today, would be in the postseason. You face the Mets twice, the Giants, the Phillies, and the Dodgers. And considering how up and down the D-backs have been the last few weeks, how the vibes haven't exactly been there, the frustrations we've had with the manager, with the bullpen, with clutch hitting at times, like there's been a lot of issues with this D-backs team the last few weeks. And going through this difficult gauntlet, I think with all that being said, the fact that they still finished this 16-game stretch 500, I think that's almost like a silver lining, considering they clearly blew a couple games. There was a couple stinkers thrown in by Erod. The fact that they still went 500 against a stretch of the best teams in the National League, I think it could have been much worse than what we saw, considering the level of play we've seen the D-backs have at times, considering how much we've seen the bullpen struggle. I almost think 500 is okay in that scenario. And you also didn't give up any ground to the division. You beat the Giants. You split the 4-game series against the Dodgers. Like, yes, you'd have liked to beat a couple more NL East teams, but you at least split the 2 series against the Mets, the Phillies, and Braves. You'll try to get them later in the season. But all in all, you didn't really lose too much ground in terms of the tiebreakers and the wild card with a lot of those National League teams, despite my frustrations with losing some of these games and blowing some of these series. The D-backs are still in position to take a wild card spot if they start to pick it up. The biggest issue that we've seen with the D-backs the last few weeks, if they want to get good, they have to start stringing together wins. They have not been able to do it since the beginning of the month. And with guys like AJ Puck out, Justin Martinez out, the bullpen has been so shaky the last few weeks. And it's probably the biggest reason as to why we haven't seen the D-backs string together back-to-back wins, because every time there's 2-3 innings left, our starter comes out with a 2 or 3 run lead. That lead just never feels safe. Even the 4-run lead against the Giants, when Ketel Marte came out for Jordan Lawler, we have learned it was more for precautionary reasons, as it should have been, because there's no reason a healthy Ketel Marte should come out the game. But the reason we were so frustrated is because there's still 3 innings left, and a 4-run lead is not enough for this D-backs bullpen. And like we saw, it came down to the final strike, bases loaded for the Giants, like just absolute insanity. And the D-backs, when I think about issues that have plagued them since I've taken over the podcast in 2020, the bullpen has been the biggest issue. And one of the weirdest phenomenons that I've noticed and realized when watching this D-backs bullpen is it doesn't even matter who they try out in that ninth inning because there are good relievers on this D-backs team currently. I like Kevin Ginkel. I like Shelby Miller. Ryan Thompson's having an up and down season. I still like Jalen Beeks. I still do like Ryan Thompson, but no matter how good of a season someone's having for the D-backs, whenever we try them out as a closer, it just always seems to go sideways. That's why the D-backs need J Mart. That's why he should have been named the closer from day one, because some guys aren't built for the ninth inning, and Justin Martinez absolutely is. We clearly have good relievers, but once the ninth inning rolls around, something just happens to them. I love Kevin Ginkel, but anytime we try to make him the ninth inning guy, it does not happen. Anytime we try to make Ryan Thompson the ninth inning guy, it just does not work out. There's a lot of relievers that have come through the D-back store the last few seasons where you say, you're good as a seventh or eighth inning guy. But for some reason, when we try to make you the closer, it just does not work out. That's why the D-backs need to make J Mart, who's expected back soon, the closer again, because he showed us last season that was the job he needed. He shut the door down on multiple occasions. He was great for the D-backs out the pen, closing ninth inning games. We get to 2025. For some reason, we're playing with our food. We don't nominate him as the closer. And now we're dealing with all these bullpen issues when it could have all been solved by just defining roles out of spring training. And so I'm upset that hasn't happened. Once J Mark comes back, I'm praying he gets named the closer because I think this will help out the D-backs bullpen so much. Another way to help out this D-backs bullpen, get Joe Mantiply off this roster. Surprised I still haven't seen a move or a transaction involving him. Maybe by the time this podcast comes out, this part of the podcast doesn't make any sense, but insane that he's still in the bullpen. Feels like the offense might have slowed down a little bit during the last 16 games as well. Not worried about the offense at all. Corbin Carroll has found his power stroke. He, in that little small frame, he is crushing it. He is top 2 in the National League in home runs. Him and Kyle Schwarber are going back and forth every single day. Lourdes Gurriel, he started to heat up over the last 3 weeks. He's batting over 300 in like his last 15 games. Ketel Marte, he's driving the ball to all parts of the ballpark. The average is not there, but the slug and the OBP is definitely there. The offense for the D-backs should be fine. It's the bullpen and, of course, the management of the D-backs, I believe, is the biggest concern when looking at the rest of May, though, for their schedule, because we know how tough the last 16 games is. For the rest of May, at least, the D-backs have a pretty normal schedule when you look at the opponents coming up. I just had the D-backs schedule pulled up. I think I accidentally closed the tab, but looking at the D-backs schedule coming up, of course, they face the Colorado Rockies next, but the Dodgers are really the only team for the rest of May that kind of scares you. Of course, you never want to play the Dodgers with all the all-stars they have, but Rockies, Cardinals, Pirates, Nationals, or the rest of the series in the month of May, you do feel like those are all winnable and you have a great chance to finish this month strong. Even though the D-backs have been up and down, I like their chances in the rest of those series. So, yes, the D-backs, maybe they lose to the Dodgers. One of the reasons is because the Dodgers get to face the Erod spot because the best of the D-backs rotation is going off against the Colorado Rockies. So maybe we lose that series against the Dodgers just because they get to face Erod or whoever's replacing Erod. But I'm looking at the next series for the D-backs against the Colorado Rockies. D-backs have been up and down the last few weeks. Let's discuss in segment number 2 if the D-backs can get themselves a series sweep. And if you believe in a D-back sweep over the Colorado Rockies, then why not place a little wager down on FanDuel Sportsbook? Because The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't miss moments. Whether it's a game winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip off and live with player props, performance trends, and same game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. My favorite thing to do on FanDuel is that same game parlay. When I see the D-backs are playing a bad opponent like the Rockies this upcoming weekend, I'm taking the D-backs money line every game, D-backs over in total runs, and give me the over on Corbin Carroll total bases. When that three-leg hits, it brings a big smile to my face. And if you want a big smile on your face, visit fanduel.com. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to fanduel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more at FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here on the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast. Now let's talk a little bit about the next series, D-backs versus the Colorado Rockies, because for me, this needs to be a series where the D-backs rotation mows down that Rockies lineup, and I want to see a Jordan Lawler offensive explosion. Let's first start with the rotation. This needs to be a series where the rotation steps up in a big way and shuts down that Colorado Rockies lineup, because obviously, we want the bullpen to do their job, but this needs to be a series where I look at the box score and I see every starter going 7 innings pitch, 2 earned runs or less. This Rockies offense by the numbers is absolutely putrid. And I think it would be borderline embarrassing. Yes, I know the Rockies are a major league franchise, but I think it would be borderline embarrassing if Burns, Gallen, or Merrill Kelly had a stinker in one of these games, because you just look at the National League stats right now. You go by team stats, and the Rockies are basically bottom 2 in every offensive category. Runs per game, second worst in the National League. They average 3.2 runs per game. Second lowest home run total. They have the fewest walks in the National League. They have the most strikeouts in the National League. They have the worst average in the National League, the second worst OPS in the National League. Stolen bases, they are also dead last. They have no power. They have no speed. They don't hit for contact. They don't score runs. They don't get on base. They do nothing offensively. And so if you're a guy like Gallen or Kelly who is looking to hit free agency this offseason, you do not want on your resume a 3-inning, 6 earned run performance against this Colorado Rockies team. Like a lot of the narratives surrounding this Rockies team right now, the narrative is this the worst team in Major League Baseball history? Like, the Rockies are on pace right now to potentially finish even worse than the White Sox last year. And the White Sox last year was maybe the worst team I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I watched the 2021 Arizona Diamondbacks, but not even that D-backs team was as bad as what we saw from the Chicago White Sox last year. And the crazy thing is, the White Sox of last year that won 40, excuse me, the White Sox of last year won 41 games. The D-backs of 2021 won 52 games. And the Colorado Rockies of 2025 might be worse than both of those teams. Absolutely insane. And so if you're Burns, Gallen, or Kelly, you cannot lose this series against the Colorado Rockies. I believe there's only 2 good players even in that Rockies lineup right now, or at least guys that I should say are having good seasons, because I think they have more than 2 good players in the lineup. The issue is they're not playing good. Brenton Doyle, Ezekiel Tovar, Ryan McMahon, I like all those players, but they're having really down seasons. Hunter Goodman and Jordan Beck are the only 2 having respectable seasons out that Rockies lineup. That's why you have to shut that lineup down every single day if you're this D-backs rotation. And historically, the starters for the D-backs have done that. Zach Allen, his career against the Colorado Rockies, he has a 2.59 ERA in 15 starts against the Rockies. He has dominated them throughout his career. Merrill Kelly, he has a 3.5 ERA in 15 starts against the Rockies. The 3.5 ERA is higher than what it seems, because if you look at Merrill Kelly's numbers in his last 10 starts against the Rockies. He has not allowed more than 2 earned runs against the Rockies since 2021. For April 8th, 2021 was the last time he's allowed more than 2 earned runs against the Rockies. That was over 10 starts ago. And then Corbin Burns, also pretty good numbers against the Rockies as well. And so this is a trio that has dominated that franchise throughout the courses of their career. This is the lowest point of maybe the Rockies franchise history, and they have a lot of low points throughout their career. And so this is a series where the D-backs could potentially sweep because of that matchup with how good the D-backs rotation is versus how lowly the vibes are right now for this Colorado Rockies lineup, team, franchise, and also guys like Burns and Kelly are coming off the best start to their season. We've been waiting for an impressive start from Corbin Burns all year. He delivered against the LA Dodgers. He looked fantastic. Merrill Kelly against the Giants recently. He had the best start of his season. We know Zach Gallen has been up and down all year, but against the Colorado Rockies, he better show up. And so I have a lot of faith and I'm putting a lot of expectations into this D-backs rotation going against that putrid offense of Colorado. And then the D-backs offensively, would love to see them get Jordan Lawler going this weekend. This is a series where Lawler needs to pop off. The Colorado Rockies, their pitching is just as bad as their hitting. And yes, playing Coors Field elevates your ERA, but the Rockies still have the second worst ERA overall on the road. And so you can't just blame Coors Field for everything. Their starter ERA overall is a 7. And so I want to see Jordan Lawler start probably every game in this series, if not 2 out of 3. And I want to see him get going. This would be the best chance for him to get his feet wet on the major league level and maybe get like a little something going with that bat. Because, like I said, this Rockies pitching has been awful so far in 2025. It's not just the hitting, it is also the Rockies pitching. And when you look at who the D-backs are going to face in this series, no one is listed for the Friday game, surprisingly, but Germán Marquez, who I think is one of the I don't even think I spoke English just now. Germán Marquez, who I think is one of the most overrated pitchers in the sport. I mean, if you're a Rockies fan, you have to believe in Marquez, but even when he was at his best pre-injury, I never really believed in the guy. He had one solid season, and that was 2020, the COVID-shortened year. Outside of that, he's been a pretty mediocre pitcher. Chase Dollander has not been good either this season for the Colorado Rockies, and it's disappointing to see because they are trying their best to develop their younger guys, and it's hard to do that when you're in that environment. Chase Dollander was supposed to be a highly touted prospect, first round pick back in 2023. So far, first season with the Rockies, not looking the hottest, but again, I think it's one of those situations where he's just in a terrible environment. But for Jordan Lawler, he is not. He is an environment surrounded by veterans, surrounded by a lot of talent, an environment that is trying to push a winning culture. And so that's why I want to see Lawler in this series, see what it's like to play for a team that's good, going against a team that has no idea what direction they're going. This needs to be a series where I see 7-2 box scores every single night from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now we'll answer your guys' questions in segment number 3 on today's Mailbag Friday. But if you guys ever decide last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family, then I think you have to go to Game Time if you want to buy some tickets, because the last thing you want to do is you're in a pinch. You're searching for, where do I buy D-backs tickets? You don't want to get ripped off, right? You don't want to get scammed. That's why you have to go to Game Time. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. They've got incredible last minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worrying out of buying. I love the price drops on Game Time because when it comes to concerts, I don't buy my tickets till the day of. Kendrick Lamar is coming in a couple weeks. Best believe I'm buying those tickets the day of. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, back here on the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast. Now let's wrap it up with a little Mailbag Friday, answering your guys' questions. We do this every Friday. You can send your questions online on social media. You can DM me. You can tag me at Creator Thomas24 for the personal account, or look up Locked on Diamondbacks, both Twitter and Instagram. You can definitely DM me on IG as well, or drop comments in the YouTube section. And I will also go back throughout the week and look at any comments for the Friday mailbag. First question. This is from Derek Hall 87. He said, is it time to demote Erod? Because Derek Hall today, the real Derek Hall, was talking about Erod, and he said something about him just doesn't look right. Now, he couldn't go into obvious details because he's like, I'm not a pitching expert. He's like, I don't know if it's the arm angle, the delivery, something, but Erod doesn't look right. And Derek Hall is basically saying, I think I struck out a third time with a lefty. I think he's basically saying Mad Bum was a bust, Monty was a bust, and now I think Erod was a bust, because I don't know if there's actually something wrong with Erod. He might just not be as good as what we thought when we signed him. This is a guy that always deals with injuries, and maybe some of those injuries have zapped him of some of his powers. I mean, I'm looking at this Arizona Sports article that does some great detailing as to things that have not worked for Erod this season, and it seems like the biggest reason to his struggles this year is just the fact that he can't use the fastball as effectively as he used to. The fastball used to be Erod's like go-to weapon for getting out of innings and putting away batters, and right now that fastball is just not as effective as it used to be. It's not fooling these opposing hitters, and they're waiting on the fastball. There's so many good fastball hitters in today's game. If your fastball does not move, if it's not overpowering, it's not something that can really work for you in 2025. And for Erod, he's a guy, his fastball averages just around 92 miles per hour. But last season, in the small sample size with the Dbacks, I mean, the fastball in terms of average allowed was good, but still a 500 slug allowed last season on the fastball. Fast forward to 2025, numbers are much worse. 342 average allowed on the fastball, and a 534 slug. It's the pitch he throws more than any other pitch. It's the pitch he wants to throw more than any other pitch, but it is getting absolutely crushed this season, and I think it's the biggest reason as to why we see his struggles. In 23, that pitch was fantastic for him. This year, the pitch is not good at all. If you also look at his first pitch strike rate, super low, career low actually. Erod feels like a guy that pounds his zone, but he's also a guy that falls behind in counts, and that's not good enough. If you're falling behind in counts and you have a terrible fastball, like, you're just setting yourself up for failure. If you're in a 2-0 count and now you have to throw your fastball, and your fastball isn't overpowering, isn't that effective, and someone can just sit back and wait on a 90-mile-an-hour pitch, like, yeah, that's going to be batting practice for some of these hitters in today's game. And so for Erod, should he be demoted? Probably. A guy like Ryan Nelson can throw 96, 97, 98 miles per hour. Our best starter down the stretch last season. I think it's time to replace Erod with Ryan Nelson in the rotation. Next question. Dbacks for Life asks, is Tim Tawa sneaky better than Jordan Lawler? I don't think I subscribe to this, but for the short term, near future, Tim Tawa in a vacuum probably is better than Jordan Lawler. He's a little bit older of a player. I just think he has a more translatable skill set right now. Like, he's 26 years old. He came out the gates, to a hotter start than Jordan Lawler. He's got a little bit more pop right now. So maybe right now he's better than Jordan Lawler, but long term, I would still take Lawler. His glove is better than Tim's. His athleticism is a higher level. He's got the same level of pop. He's got more speed. Right now, considering Tim is an older prospect, I wouldn't be surprised if he's better in 2025 than Jordan Lawler. But if you ask me the next 3 to 5 years, the next 10 years, who's going to be a better major leaguer? I mean, it would be a borderline disaster if Tim Tawa ends up being a better major leaguer than Jordan Lawler. Unless Tim Tawa turns into an all-star level player, I think that would be a disaster for the D-backs if Tim Tawa ends up being a better major leaguer than him. So I'm still riding with Jordan Lawler, even though Tim Tawa in the early sample size looks better than Jordan Lawler. Next question. This is from Dbacks 911. Should the D-backs trade Randall Grichuk? I think this is a fun question because with Jordan Lawler now on the major league level, I think it's just so hard to find Randall Grichuk playing time, and I love him. But if you weren't playing Randall Grichuk when Lourdes Gurriel was a black hole in the lineup, when do you play him? You have Gurriel, Carroll, Thomas already in the D-backs outfield. You still have guys like Tim Tawa now, who can also play in the D-backs outfield. You look at the DH, you got Pavin Smith, you got Jordan Lawler, who are going to try and DH. So it's like, I just don't know exactly where to play Randall Grichuk. We have a fully loaded outfield. We got a fully loaded DH, slot now. Jordan Lawler is going to be on the major league level. And Tim Tawa didn't look too bad in center field if we just need like an extra outfielder. And so, as much as I like Randall Grichuk, if we need a platoon bat off the bench, Jordan Lawler is going to be a pretty hot option. And so, maybe it's for the best if we trade Randall Grichuk and try to get some bullpen help. If there's a good reliever out there and the team needs like a righty bat, maybe there's a little 1-for-1 swap that the D-backs can do because Grichuk, I still think is a good player, but with this D-backs team, it's going to be impossible for him to get going. 8 of his 13 hits this season have gone for extra bases, or excuse me, have gone for doubles. 9 of his 13 hits have gone for extra bases. And so this is a guy who still has a bunch of pop in his bat. The issue is he never gets consistent playing time, so hard for him to get a consistent rhythm at the plate. I love Grichuk. That's why I'm pro trading him, because I actually do want to see him get more of an opportunity on a ball club that can actually use his services almost every single day. So I would trade Grichuk and try to bring back a reliever that can help out this D-backs bullpen. Now that's it for this edition of the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. Come back next week for more Diamondbacks news coverage and insight. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy. Doses.